this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Amazon Health AI presents Painful Thoughts.
Why did I search the internet for answers to my cold sore problem? Now I'm stuck down a rabbit hole filled with images of alarmingly graphic sores in various stages of ooze. I can clear my search history, but I can never unsee that.
Don't go down the rabbit hole. Amazon Health AI gets you the right care, fast. Healthcare just got less painful.
This Monday.com ad was created by a team of people and AI agents. Reese, our content agent, wrote the copy based on our best practices, like mentioning Monday.com 3 times. That was the second. Johnny, our coordination agent, built the timeline and kept everyone aligned. Olivia, our human creative director, stayed in the loop. Because agents are great, but they don't always know when a joke lands. She had one note: tell listeners it only takes minutes to build an agent. So, minutes. Create your own AI agent today on Monday.com.
The Joel Osteen Daily Podcast.
God's plans for you are for good.
Be inspired.
Get ready. God is about to exceed your expectations.
Joel Osteen Daily Podcast.
You are coming out of that dry place into more than enough.
Daily encouragement right when you need it.
There are opportunities in your future bigger than you can imagine.
Listen to the Joel Osteen Daily Podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
This is Red Pilled America. You're listening to Red Pilled America's Fam Boogie. Join the Fam Bam. Go to redpilledamerica.com and click join in the top of the menu. We are talking Fauci. We're talking COVID. We're going down memory lane.
You know what? I need more Fauci clips, please. More clips of Fauci.
Pleading the fifth.
In the fifth. And just getting body slammed.
You know, it was one senator after another that was taking him out. It was well-deserved. So many people lost their jobs, saw their kids. I mean, we have a single child. She had to be cooped up by herself basically for a year and a half.
It was horrible.
Remember those
those
birthdays that we went to that you had
in the cars?
The drive-by birthdays. You had to basically drive into a car. You drove up to the person's house. You had no actual contact with them. You just drove by in your car and you honked and you waved and you said happy birthday, and then you went home to quarantine again. And I just remember how much that impacted our daughter, so much so that she talked about it years later about those moments.
She talked about it in her college essays.
Yes, it was one of those kinds of big moments for her. And so many of these kids that had to basically fend for themselves, be by themselves.
And so many that committed suicide because of it.
I mean, we did a whole story on it under the rug in Chicago. One of the students in Chicago killed himself.
Horrible.
It was horrible, horrible time. And then you have now all these celebrities coming forward, protecting him right now.
You know why? Because they're complicit. They're pigs.
They need to protect him because they were part of the problem. They saw him as their soldier, as their suicide bomber to take out the Trump administration, shut down the economy, keep it shut down, keep the schools closed, keep everybody afraid, so that they could get elected in 2024. And so, of course, they're going to come out and protect him right now. And the hubris that he had to type that all into his diary and then send it to himself on a government machine. Okay, one of the few things that you could actually FOIA, and look into and actually grab that data, and he does that for himself.
What a dummy.
That's how full of himself he was.
Yeah.
Now, as you said earlier, some people had to cave. They had to feed their families. If their job required a vaccination and they didn't have the float to get basically fired, maybe they had a kind of career that they couldn't lose. If they lost, they're basically in a very bad position. But there was a lot of people that weren't like that, and they caved. And this was the litmus test. There was this very, very critical moment. It was basically the second week of March when everybody, the entire machine, decided to go after Trump. When just 2 weeks earlier, they were trying to get them to go out to Chinatown and to not be racist, you Americans, go out to Chinatown and spend your money. 2 weeks later, they're pushing at Trump, pushing at him. The entire media complex came at him, and there was this critical moment where you saw what people were made of, especially in the media space, because he needed that protection. And one after the other, they started to cave. And then there was this last one, which was Tucker Carlson. He basically goes to Mar-a-Lago. He's reading all of this stuff. He says that he was becoming obsessed with kind of this COVID and how bad it was going to get. He goes out to Mar-a-Lago. He urges the president to take drastic measures. And then what does he do? He doesn't keep the conversation private. He goes over to Vanity Fair. He gives them an interview and tells them everything that he was basically saying to the president, and that basically that the president was looking through this through a political lens, and that he was basically not taking the action that he needed to take. That was on the 17th, I think, that went through. And then, sure enough, the Trump basically had nothing at that point. He had no protection whatsoever. The conservative influencers were going against him. All of these conservative influencers now that talk about, we were so smart then. We read Fauci. Go back. You can't read their feed right now because they deleted all of those tweets. But they were telling everybody to comply and wear a mask and what's the big deal? We need to save some lives. And so he had no protection. So it's kind of hard for me to really go at Trump hard for making that decision because he had no support whatsoever.
No, I mean, even in the beginning, I remember tweeting out to Trump to, shut down the borders, shut down the travel.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Yeah. And they were doing, and he was doing that, and he got called a racist for that.
Yeah.
They were calling him a racist for that when he basically was shutting off, travel from Italy and China and what have you. So, but I think what we're seeing here now, and everybody's going after Fauci. They should. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. The man was like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. He had this power, this precious power that he had, and he was loving it. He was loving it. He was looking at it like it was his precious. Yeah. This ring of power that he had. He was one of the most powerful people in the world at that time, because you had everybody speaking this guy's praise. Besides all of the celebrities in Hollywood, you also had guys like, Dr. Drew, which was basically saying, listen to Fauci. Whatever Fauci says, you do, okay? And so you had this entire kind of media complex turning on Trump, so he had to make the decision to shut down for 2 weeks. Reluctantly. He was fighting it and fighting it and fighting it for several months. But he made the decision, and then you saw the real true colors of all of these people that were, okay, wait a minute. I thought it was supposed to just be 2 weeks. All these conservative influencers that were pushing to do the shutdown, going along lockstep with the legacy media. And then 2 weeks turns into 3, turns into 4, turns into 6, turns into 8. And everyone's like, well, why aren't we opening up? Well, you don't give them that power. The second that you let these kind of communist ideas in, they take control. And that's what we saw happen. But there was a silver lining throughout this entire time, because many of us sent our kids to basically the Zoom school, I guess, for lack of a better term, but you got to see what your kid was being taught.
Yeah.
George Floyd hits, and so now you're starting to see all this wokeness. And I remember sitting there on the side watching my daughter take these classes, these remote classes, and seeing this very expensive private school teaching our daughter about, this woke ideology and about this anti-racist ideology and BLM and what have you. And I'm
and having to read books like Stamped.
Yes, 100%.
And we were like, no, not going to happen.
We're not doing it. So we homeschooled her for that year. But that was a big, big eye-opening moment. One, you saw how many people would willingly go along with the most ludicrous expert opinions possible, whether it be wear a mask, but you can go on to basketball camp, or whether it mean, walk down one line of the aisle and at the grocery store and you have to go one way down that, or wear a mask in your car. You saw how people responded and how willingly they will give up their freedoms to feel safe. So that was, kind of in a way a silver lining. But then the other thing is seeing the schools and what the schools were doing to our kids, and seeing how, a lot of the woke ideology was coming into these classrooms. So many parents had their eyes opened in this moment. And I think that it was in that way, I think was the beginning of the real fight against wokeness was at that time, was when you saw it. It was one thing for us adults to have to deal with it. It's a whole nother thing to have this system, this machine, where our kids were having to run through this meat grinder. And I think that woke up a lot of parents. I could not believe how many quote-unquote smart people that I saw giving vaccines to their children. I could not believe how many people I saw doing that when all of the data was saying otherwise. There was no data out there saying that your kid is vulnerable to this flu, this very strong flu. There was no data out there, but people were doing it because they wanted to be socially accepted within their circles.
That was the thing.
That's what it came down to. They were feeling social pressure. They were feeling a little bit of a social kick. Their kids weren't able to go to certain things if they weren't vaccinated. They were getting shunned within the certain communities. And a lot of the times, when people question us, like, why do you guys care so much about Hollywood? It's because that elite platform is part of the reason why so many of these policies and so much of that cultural pressure was being put on everybody, was because they were walking lockstep together, applying that pressure onto everybody. And if you didn't do it, they would shame you. Here's a perfect example.
But I think people should know there is a virus here. It kills people. And the only way we prevent it is to get vaccinated, to wear masks, to do social distancing, washing your hands all the time, and not just to think about, well, my freedom is being kind of disturbed here. No, screw your freedom.
That was a year
They
after.
were basically saying that the unvaccinated were dying.
Yeah, it was
And
a pandemic
by the way,
of the unvaccinated.
Yeah, not true.
Not true.
Not true.
And as we see in Fauci's diary, he admits in his diary that the vaccination was not stopping the spread and that they were still getting it. But he wasn't kind of coming out with that publicly. So that's really where you see the hypocrisy in this journal of what he's willing to tell the public and what he's saying to himself privately. And, thank you to RFK Jr. for bringing this journal to light, because if we did not have that, we would not be able to see. We all knew, but to have it in writing, I think, makes it even that much better. So what should we learn from all of this new COVID information that we have and this new Fauci information? I want to talk about that right after the break. Life can be pretty stressful these days. You want to know what makes me feel better? Licorice from the Licorice Guy. Call me crazy, but it's true because I love licorice. Longtime listeners of Red Pilled America know that licorice is my absolute favorite candy. And the very best licorice, hands down, comes from the Licorice Guy. I know licorice, and it doesn't get any better than this. What truly sets it apart is its flavor and its freshness. The softness of this licorice will blow your mind. I've never had anything like it. The Licorice Guy offers jumbo gourmet licorice in nostalgic seasonal flavors like red, blue raspberry, cinnamon, watermelon, black, and apple. Trust me, they're all delicious. What I also love about the Licorice Guy is that it's an American family-owned business. And you all know that I'm a big proponent of supporting American companies. Right now, Red Pilled America listeners get 15% off when you enter RPA15 at checkout. Visit licoriceguy.com and enter RPA15 at checkout. That's licoriceguy.com. They ship daily. Treat yourself and those you love and taste the difference.
Amazon Health AI presents Painful Thoughts.
Why did I search the internet for answers to my cold sore problem? Now I'm stuck down a rabbit hole filled with images of alarmingly graphic sores in various stages of ooze. I can clear my search history, but I can never unsee that.
Don't go down the rabbit hole. Amazon Health AI gets you the right care, fast. Healthcare just got less painful.
Hi, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. Are you looking for a beach read this summer? May I suggest your big wireless bill? It's got suspense, mystery, a slightly flat, emotional arc, and a shocking twist where you realize you've been overpaying the entire time. Fortunately, though, Mint's story is better. Every plan, $15 a month. Even unlimited. That's it. Happy ending. Zero tears.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
This Monday.com ad was created by a team of people and AI agents. Reese, our content agent, wrote the copy based on our best practices, like mentioning Monday.com 3 times. That was the second. Johnny, our coordination agent, built the timeline and kept everyone aligned. Olivia, our human creative director, stayed in the loop. Because agents are great, but they don't always know when a joke lands. She had one note: tell listeners it only takes minutes to build an agent. So, minutes. Create your own AI agent today on Monday.com.
The headlines, they move on, but the heartache and the terror, they do not. Iran and its terrorist proxies are continuing to target Israel. Hezbollah continues its attacks in the north, forcing families to live under constant threat. But Israel is not only defending her people, she is standing on the front lines against terror that threatens us all. Even when the news crews leave, the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, they remain. Every day, they are on the ground, providing life-saving aid. Now, near Israel's border with Lebanon, a Hezbollah drone recently struck the home of Yelena. Widowed earlier this year and living alone, she was trapped inside by the blast. Thankfully, she was not injured, but she remained displaced. It's hard these days, she says, but I don't want to leave. Well, as Christians, we are called to stand with God's people and pray for those defending Israel and protecting the freedoms we hold dear. I want you to join the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews in praying for the peace of Jerusalem and for the soldiers, families, and civilians carrying the burden of this fight right now. Visit prayifcj.org. That's prayifcj.org.
You're listening to Red Pilled America's Fan Boogie. Join the Fan Bam. Go to redpilledamerica.com and click Join in the top of the menu. When would you say that you realized during the COVID hysteria that we had jumped the shark, that the whole world was going crazy?
I don't remember the exact moment. I mean, because it was incremental. You know, it was incremental. But I mean, definitely I was an early adopter of this is bullshit.
Yeah. I think for me, it was the toilet paper chaos. When I saw everybody going crazy for toilet paper, I'm thinking, well, just wipe yourself with
wash your butt. Take a shower.
Use a hand cloth or something. Why are you going crazy
just take a shower.
over
Just
toilet
take a shower.
paper?
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people started buying bidets and what have you. But I mean, that when I saw the toilet paper chaos, I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is absolute madness. So I thought that's when things kind of jumped the shark. But I will say, the end of the day, what I want us to remember a couple things here. One, this was a litmus test, and we are what we eat media-wise. There were so many people that failed this test, whether it be Tucker, whether it be guys like Dr. Drew, whether it be Jake Tapper, really anybody from the CNN lineup failed the test. Whether it be Chuck Todd, Chris Cuomo now, we're starting to welcome him on the right. He's like in our feeds now and in our kind of media ecosystem. The guy was the biggest fraud when it came to this COVID thing. I remember when he caught COVID and then he like staged this kind of like coming out from quarantine. It ended up being a big staged event. We need to remember these moments. You need to remember what the media tried to do to you. And don't allow something like this to happen again. I want to play a quick montage of the media and what they were doing to the people that were fighting and pushing back against this.
President Trump wrote on Twitter, "Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life." Don't let it dominate your life?
In terms of responding to a comment like that, it's gross.
It's okay to be afraid of COVID, and it's okay that it's dominating your life.
Everyone should be afraid of COVID.
You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
I can't come in, Mom. It's because of this flu thing.
We won't be free of this pandemic until we listen to the acknowledged truth. Listen to the scientists.
Science is truth.
You know, science is truth. What is the impact to public health when people are openly questioning
the science.
Now is the time to do what you're told.
By not hearing the truth, by not listening to the scientists, they are prolonging how bad the economy will be.
When I see somebody out in the world who's not wearing a mask, I instantly think you are a threat, or you are selfish, or you are a COVID denier, and you definitely haven't been vaccinated.
Either wear a mask or get the fuck out.
What does this have? Are you vaccinated?
I am triple vaccinated.
So why are you wearing the mask?
Seek out the scientists and listen to their advice.
Listen to scientists. Listen to the scientists.
Trust the experts.
We're going to trust science. We're going to trust the experts.
Parents who say, well, I need to do my own research, makes you think of that cartoon I saw of the tombstone that said, I did my own research.
Republicans have given their voters license to believe whatever they want to believe.
Heard somebody saying, listen to the scientists, do that.
Let's listen to the scientists.
These are the same people that were saying it was okay for the BLM protesters to go out there on the streets to protest, to be like right next to each other, thousands and thousands and thousands of people, you know, protesting during this COVID outbreak. And that was what the media did. Every time now, the more I think about this and I think about this moment, the more I despise the legacy media. I despise these people, what they did to the United States. People died alone. It was a horrific, horrific moment.
What they did to the mental health of so many children in this country.
100%. But here's the thing. I don't think anyone's going to really pay for this. Think back to the financial crisis in 2008.
Yeah.
When there was clearly people to blame for this. There was clearly people that we should go after for these subprime loans, and the people pushing them, the community activists that attacked the banks for not giving loans to bad credited people. Nobody paid for that during the 2008 financial crisis. No one. And now here we are with COVID. We have the guy that was basically running the policy in Fauci. We have his diary. He is clearly saying something different to the public than what he's writing privately. He is giving mixed signals, or actually completely flip-flopping on the masks. 1 second saying they don't work, don't worry about them. Then the next second saying, wear your mask.
Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
You're sure of it? Because people are listening really closely to this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and it might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is. And often, there are unintended consequences. People keep fiddling with the mask, and they keep touching their face.
Should all students in this country be wearing masks?
You know, I'm one, and I've said it for so long, David, that I really do believe and it's part of what I call a comprehensive way to really avoid the things that you were just referring to. There should be universal wearing of masks.
He is publicly saying that he is not trying to close down the schools, and then privately in his diary, he's writing, "Oh, okay, I was been working to get these schools closed down." Somebody has to pay for this. Fauci, if not him, who? Someone must pay for this. And they took away our kind of agency. People were self-incentivized to not put themselves in a position to where they could catch COVID. That's just human nature. And it was very clear that this was not going to be a 1%, 3%, 6% mortality rate. And this man was writing in his private diary that it was nowhere near that level. So, I do think this was a litmus test. Do not fall for something like this again. I think that something like this will happen in our lifetime. Every once in a while, this kind of thing starts to come forward. And that's the scary part. There might be at some point a virus that comes around that is actually deadly. But having gone through this right now, so many people won't believe it. So pay attention to the sources that stayed with the data, that didn't panic, that fought for free choice, and that supported people, and that fought for people to not lose their jobs and to be able to speak and to not be censored. Because we're going to face something like this in the future, and we need to be prepared for that. That's it for this installment of Fan Boogie. Our next episode is going to be on science, so keep an ear and an eye out for that. It's coming out soon. I hope you guys are as angry as we are about this Fauci new news, and to stay strong. Do not let anything like this happen again in the future. Do not cave to our betters and to the experts in the future. Listen to data and stick with common sense. Till next time, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and support Red Pilled America at redpilledamerica.com. Until next time, bye.
Bye, everyone.
What God started in my life, He's going to finish.
The Joel Osteen Daily Podcast.
Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. What was meant for my harm, Lord, I want to thank you right now. You're turning to my advantage.
Your daily source of hope and encouragement.
Your second wind is on its way. God is about to breathe on your life in a new way.
Listen to the Joel Osteen Daily Podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts.